reference video for the heater hoses. So it looks like we've got an apron with two stub outs here for a heater hose. The bottom one looks like it goes to, goes to right there, right behind the hose. And then there's another hose right behind it, and that hose comes over and feeds to the right side here. All right, and then the middle two stub outs here, you can see, just go like it's a bypass. They just feed into each other. Okay, so this is where the ashtray was before, and took like 3 bolts off of the edges of the ashtray into the sheet metal, and then unbolted this rusty cross member that came down straight. And now I'm looking at the bottom of the climate controller. So just some reference pictures here. All right. Hopefully we'll be getting into more stuff soon. All right, so this is like right underneath the glove box cavity. This was kind of shoved up, I don't know, like right in the kick pad, I guess, up under there. It was just crammed up in there. Don't know what it is. It looks purely electric. So this is underneath the ashtray. See the controller. It appears as if, so there's some sheet metal screws. See the silvery galvanized looking 3 screws there. Those are probably going to have to come out. I'm thinking the bottom of this might detach. Goes all the way over to here, to the steering column. Yeah, but it looks like we've got screws, Phillips head screws all around the bezel. And I think the bezel is going to come out with the glove box. I think the whole thing will pull out once I get all these. There's several Phillips heads on the bottom, several on the top. Okay. I don't know that the bottom dash pad here, this black thing, is going to come out of the way, but plenty of room to drop it here. I believe the same type of setup, the bezel around the radio and the climate control come out, and that might come out anyways because I would like to look at the climate controls. All right, so going up under, we have, what do we have? All right, as you can see there, we've got some kind of switch that's been bypassed. I see a pigtail just sticking there. All right, so we've got an arm here, my index finger, going across here to this vacuum pod. I'm guessing there's actuation there. Yeah, you can see there's a vacuum here. Oh, vacuum lines look horrible. So we'll need to look at vacuum routing here. And it looks like we've got one going into the right side of the box through where my index finger is. And then we got a T that branches off, goes up and behind this pod, which we'll find out where that goes later. Up front here, we got a mechanical arm. Go under there. All right, I'm not sure what I'm looking at. Yeah, we'll see when I start pulling that down. Everything's nuts and bolts here. You can see there's some nylon nuts here, probably to take the box apart. But what we want is we want to take this whole box unit out. So looking at that, probably first thing I'm going to have to do is drop out. Feels like it won't come out too hard. This ductwork. This ductwork's going to have to all come out. Feels like this is going to pull apart on me. It doesn't look too bad. It looks like the duct's in relatively good condition. I think I'll be able to save that. I know most is in there. That's good. All right, and that pulls down from this corner here. Show you up and under there. Well, that actually feeds the vent there. All right, and then we got another big square side duct. That looks like it's clamped. Some kind of metal clamp. So I'll have to look at the, unless it's just gravity. Oh, it's a big one. Okay. Behind here, you can see there? There's some kind of switch here. All right, I can see, looks like, what is that? Electrical? A mechanical. No, it's a mechanical. Okay, so a small piece of steel wire goes into it. That must be a mechanical lever of some sort. Now on the back side of what I looked at earlier, you can see there's black hoses going into here. And where's that go? This hose is going everywhere. All right, this feels like, okay, this bends out. All right, so, yeah, we got that loose, whatever this is. And this is not going to be a hard one to get out either. Okay, take that clear, dusty as shit under here. All right, let's pull the line off this pod. Okay, feel more vacuum up under here. See where my finger? Right there. All right. Oh yeah, I see free. Oh, look at it. There's antifreeze leaking. All right. It is leaking. It's not just misting. I guess it's way up under there. Dashboard. Trying to get the heater box out. It's weird. Unlike most older cars I've worked on, the gauge cluster here, you know, the speedo, and I don't know if you can see, the light's awful here. The speedometer gauge cluster, it's called. It's just like really difficult to get out. You got to take out, well, you got to take the speed, you know, normal stuff, like you got to take the speedo out, but also there's bolts on either side of it. Looks like the bezel needs to come out with the gauges. There was some kind of wrapping around the steering wheel column that had to come out. And also now, I'm going to put my light down, the column has to come out to some degree, dropped at least. So I'm going to have to drop it to give it clearance to come out. So that's the next thing I'm going to do here. Okay, so there's a few more things in the way here. They popped up as I was trying to pull it out. It wouldn't come home. It wouldn't come out. So up under the bottom, there's amp gauge connections. I believe they're going to be 5/16. There's two of them. Got to take them off with a wrench or a ratchet. So I'm getting under there. I'm going to have to get on the floorboard to do that. And also, it looks like there's some kind of maybe a reset for the odometer, or no, that can't be. I'm not even sure. It's like a button that was under the, you see that little tabby button under the bottom, right above the accelerator pedal? That goes up there, and I got to look at the guide for the car to see what that is. Seems like an odometer reset. It must, you know what I bet it is? Probably for the clock. So anyway, got to take care of those, and hopefully this thing pulls out. I tell you, I hate to admit it, but that was a rather difficult removal of this gauge cluster. It's so you can see there's all shit all over it, but if you look at the back, it's been out a very long time. There was also this connector, which I didn't find until the nth hour pulling it out. So you had, in summary, the cable for the speedometer, you had this electrical bulkhead connector, and you had this, which apparently is for setting the clock, sticks out of the bottom. You have to unscrew it and pull it through with the gauge cluster. And also, what you can't see here right now, but these two, well, you can see there's two posts that an ammeter sat on, and I think the screws are 11/32. I took them off with an adjustable, but wasn't super easy to get this out, I gotta say. Kind of different for an old car. Here's what the floorboard looks like when you're pulling your dash out. A friggin' mess. Here's the spot where the gauge cluster was. So now you can clearly see the connector bulkhead there, and all the difficulties getting it out. I had to actually jack this down with a screwdriver. I'm not sure. It's probably another bolt to let the whole thing down, but I pulled a couple of bolts out. Didn't want to quite go down, and it was a struggle to get it out between the steering column and the dash. So you can see I had to cut loose the, looks like a heater AC sensor, and put that up and out of the way. So everything had to come out to get this damn thing out. So I'm going to make damn sure it works before it goes back up, and I'm going to clean everything up nice like. So you can see the dash with this. It just, I got to get the AC, and I got to get that duct work out from behind there. I'm going up underneath the dash, under the ignition, near the accelerator pedal, up above the transmission hump. And I'm going to pull out, let's see, I can pull out these valve screws that are under there. 1, 2, and 3. Those all got to come out. You can see the little floor ear vent cutouts. That's going to come out so that I can pull out the ductwork for these two center vents. It seems to all be attached. 3 tiny little screws. They're very short. I'd say those are 1/2 inch, maybe even smaller, like 3/8. All right, so now I'm going to proceed to remove this. There it is dangling, right? It terminates over here, and I'm sure one of the ducts on the side. And then up top here, it looks like we got, get this separated still. Sorry, shaky camera look. This has some kind of clip, so that's going to have to separate to drop this hard plastic piece out. So I'm just going to put this on top of my toolbox the way it came out. This is, part of the venting, hard pipe venting, and attaches to the soft pipe and then goes to the center of the heater box. Yeah, dirty. So when I took that off, I could actually see the, the heater core itself in there, which does look kind of wet. Go check it out. So this is up and under. It was some kind of door that opened into there. Not moving very well. If it's supposed to have action, it's not in great shape. Feels like it might have a spring on it. And you can see green. There's the antifreeze. There's antifreeze leaking. Looks like that must be the center pipe, the U pipe or Y pipe, whatever it's called, H pipe. And I don't know that that's what's leaking. I can see the antifreeze on top of the core, just sitting there. So it's probably a leaky core. So this is right in front of, it's right below the heater box and to the right of it, underneath the dashboard area. This has a couple bolts. It's definitely been tampered. Someone's altered this because I can see a straight slot on one side and a hex head on the other. So this has been replaced or fiddled with at some point. Fiddlesticks. I'm going to take that out because otherwise I think I'm just going to damage it trying to get the big friggin' box out that's right above it. Okay. That was enough to make me want to square up straight slot screws for life. The screw there is out, and that was the straight slot. Real pain in the ass. And then that was hex head easy. There's another one up here that I can't quite get to. And what I got to do anyways is this big duct. I got to pull this out, which looks like it has a screw here and one down here I got to take out. Hopefully it rocks out from there. I guess this job was stressful because I just pulled out a bunch of my hair. I seriously wrapped it around that knob somehow. There it is. Hair has been lost. Blood has been shed. We mean business. So this is up under the glove box right there. Up under here, this is kind of the back side of where the blower motor fan is. A big door, lots of insulation, all falling out and all over hell and back. So that's not going to have to figure out a way to fix that when I get it back together. And hopefully this valve on the bottom, this black piece there works because that's what controls that door. I'll have to test that. Anyways, and back behind it is the whatchamacallit valve that I just pulled screws out of. I have to get to that one last screw. That's way up in there. There. It's a sensor. This is what I just pulled out of the bottom of the heater box. Two little screws that it was in to the bottom of this box right there. And goes over and is attached to that valve or, sensor. It must be a valve of some kind that's controlled by the heat. Usually there's one sticking into the evaporator like this too. So this is just reference. There's the blower motor inside that box, just in case I need some guidance in the future when I'm putting this back together. Multiple connections there. See some kind of red-black vacuum hose goes down. Fun stuff. I come back around this side of the radio. Can't see it, but oh yeah, you can kind of. There's this 7/16 bolt back there I have to pull out to get the radio. Quick footnote on the radio: the wires came out of the left side, just to the right side of the gauge cluster. And when I pulled it out, I found those. You can see two pigtails right here. And all the pigtails are just slotted connectors, which are friction. You pull them apart, there's no tabs, which is quite refreshing after working on a modern car for years. So now we're left with not much left in the dash. It's mostly stripped. Yeah, pretty well stripped. Might have to pull that duct work out in the middle. But look on the outside, have a look what I got to do. Probably do it tomorrow. It's getting late. Okay, so I'm taking the climate control switch out. I just wanted to show a couple things. That's the switch. That's the bottom of it. So if you look at the back of the switch, I don't know if you can see it. Anyways, there's a red socket, and then there's a black socket with a blue wire, and then there's under that, or that would be the top, but it looks like it's under green wire, and shit ton of vacuum things. I hope those come off. It's one piece. Climate control has a cable attached to it right here. All right, and I'm going to have to unclamp that cable here. So I just wanted to do this for a reference. That's what the cable looks currently. That's how it's situated. This is another thing related to climate control. This orange wire goes up to a bulkhead. It looks like these are connections that go to instrument panel lights. Goes in particular here, it's going to the panel lights for the climate control right there. Loud in here. I got the heat going. Day 4. I already stripped off the hoses and found out that yes, this was a what do you call it? The heater control valve was right there. That's what I was calling the whatchamacallit valve on the other side or whatever. So I got to take the fan the rest of the way off. I pulled bolts out. I see 2 bolts over here on the firewall, one high and one low, and I think it's got the same on the other side. And I'm guessing that's going to dump it. And of course, I took all the heater hoses off, so it should come out here soon. I've loosened they're all nuts that are on this firewall. They look another 1/2 inch. Look like this for 5 of them. There's 5. There's this one. There's this one. The counterpart's on the flip side of the motor. Although it's a little bit, definitely the box is not centered on the firewall. It's more towards the passenger side. So there's one bolt like behind the left head. And also there's one up here next. This is the tricky one. There's one up here. Where is it? Through the firewall already. Well, let's see. There was one up here. Here we go. All right, so this is right. You can see underneath the two. It's not much light over here. Okay, so there's 2. These are the 2 heater core spigots come out on this side. The bolts right behind them where my finger is waving around. So you got to get all those bolts out. There's 5 of them, and I've already kind of pinged a couple of them with the hammer, and you can see they're going to start coming through. You know, it's already kind of moving. So I'll take a rubber mallet, tap them some more. Hopefully this thing just falls out. Probably won't. Probably going to take some yanking on. Surprise! So one more thing, and I just realized it. All these lines going through the firewall here to the AC evaporator have to come loose too. Started pushing it through when they were coming with it. I was thinking there was a separate box, and maybe there is, but the whole thing seems to want to drop out, so I'm taking it out. Okay, so kind of a bird's eye view here of the operation. I just got done taking out the pipes for the evaporator are removed, the hoses for the heater core are removed, all the bolts are removed, and you can kind of see it's ready to, like this is one of the studs barely sticking out. That used to be about 3/4 out, so it's gonna fall backwards. It looks like it's free, so hopefully I'll go on the inside now and yank this thing out, I hope. Probably not that easy, but we'll see. Okay, just pulled the heater control valve out of the inside of the car. I wanted to get the info off of this. So it looks like type H16 by Ranco, Columbus, Ohio. That's probably not a thing anymore, but maybe I can yank these numbers off the bottom here soon. United States of America. See that much. Here's what it looks like from the out. Right. See any more numbers? Got the Mopar Pentastar. Hopefully this will be enough for me to try to find another one or test this thing out. Okay, we're back inside the car. I'm starting to pull the box down. I wanted to show you that you don't need to pull these vents, and this is the duct behind it. I just pulled up over the top of it and left in place there. Kind of stays put and away from the heater box. Heater box is starting to pull away. You're actually looking at the top of it right here. Right, so this dusty, that's the top. Starting to come out the bottom. Let me get some light on this. So it's starting to tilt out the bottom. Everything seems to be going so far so good. It looks like all the vacuum lines are attached to the box that went to the heater or the climate controller. Okay, so that's all these things here. I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, it's, all these vacuum lines are going to stay on the top of the box. Just trying to pull anything out of the way that might be in the way or is binding to it. I mean, this is the time. It's not quite out. I don't want to tear anything up, so Just checking everything really. So if I find anything odd about dropping this out, I'll stop and take a picture of it. But so far, commonsensical type things are good sets. Just pull everything out of the way and off the box as it's falling out. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I think what I was seeing is this hose coming out right here. This is a feed that goes to the back of the motor. This is actually the vacuum feed. So, I may be replacing that. That's in rough shape. Let me go it. I'm going to go ahead and detach it here. If it will. Yeah. God, it's dry rot as shit. It might just come apart on its as it did. So that's what happens with dry rot lines. Okay, I might as well. I'm just going to cut this on the inside and replace it. So this is kind of an important part of it. I'm in the kind of final stages of... Oh, motherfucker. I just put a hole in my seat. God damn it. Of, that was dry rot vinyl. Shit. Anyway, just put a hole in my seat. What was I doing? Damn it! I got a hole in my fucking seat. That was some dry rot vinyl. Okay. So, that's going to get a piece of duct tape, I think. Anyway, so, I'm dropping this out, and as I'm dropping it out, I'm tilting it kind of forward on the front, on the top. So, where my finger is here, say that's the top, the side towards me as I sit in the car. This is the side I'm tilting it forward and pulling down on it. So what I want to do is not to blind this, and I need to find like the sweet spot, because this is metal under here and that ain't going anywhere unless I want to get in some serious work. So I need to find the sweet spot where this is going to pull out. Progress is made from the last stage. I've now found the sweet spot, and it appears to be to pull it out on the passenger side, which kind of makes sense. You can see the puddle of next to my cutter. Antifreeze starting to come out. Definitely a leaky bastard. So next step, I'm just going to pull it out of the passenger side door, and we'll have it out on the floor next, hopefully. That's my hope. So there it is. It's out. Pretty heavy. I did it myself. Probably would help have one more person on it, but yeah, you can still do it yourself. So I've moved it somewhere in my shop where I can get to it, and there's a little more light. And this is a top view on it. This is driver's side end. See all the hoses here. That's what plugged into the climate control. And pod on top. Gotta check all the pods. Copper hosing, copper tubing that goes to the heater core, which is in here, which is what I want to take this box apart and find out what I have, so I can. So here's the flip side, and I just took it outside and dumped all the stuff out of the radiator that was gushing out of the, the heater core. Whatever the switch is, I tore the living shit out of it. So there's that. Look like a 3-prong switch. And now you can clearly see the heater core in there. So I think I'm gonna have to take some bolts and nuts and start tearing this apart. I'm gonna need this number, 283-7813. This is the sender I ripped up. It's just a piece of cardboard with a couple of coil wires sticking through it. It's all ripped up now. Okay, there's the box again. I see the crossover plate between the two separate cores here. Just FYI, I got a 5/16 inch wrench here. That's it's got an automatic side on it, which is great, but it's my friend through this taking this box apart, and of course, good old drill with the 5/16 on it, and I got an assortment of sockets over here, but so far it's all been 5/16. I think I see at the ends of the box something that's probably like 3/8 there. And also, you know, if you got a driver, like a manual driver like this helps too, just in case you're afraid you're going to shoulder it or something. So I'm going to begin by just taking all these bolts off here that run across here, and then these side bolts right here. It looks like the top is just a piece of broke steel that's flanged into the other by friction. This thing right here, this shoulder. So I'm going to try, you know, and this side's got a lot of valves. I'll get to that later. Probably the last thing, take that off. But that should get me to the heater core. Here's some more reference type photos. Heater pod on the side, butterfly valve for the door. This looks like the side of the heater core. So this is the right hand side of the box, bottom side. So you can just, I'll zoom out here a little bit, you can see that's the top of the box. You like the front of the box if you're looking in the passenger compartment. On the side, this spring right here hooks up into this. Okay, I think there's a little hole at the bottom there that hooks in. That goes to the side of the box. Gonna leave that hanging there. Okay, so the idea is to get this. The idea is to get this linkage apart or loose so I can take this front off. So I'm getting ready to take this apart on the side here, and I just wanted to go methodology here. It's the lower arm. Okay, see this arm here? That used to connect in the middle with another lower arm. You can see the nuts on top of it. And I had taken that nut off to take the arm apart. Second thing I did is I took this bolt off, 7/16. And then I'm in the process right now of taking this one off, which is 3/8. And I noticed that this butterfly valve is controlled by the side. So just make sure that when you put this back together, butterfly valve needs to be home. Okay, it needs to be closed. And before you tighten all that up, hopefully the directions I got with my rebuild kit that I bought from Detroit Muscle includes this, I hope. If not, then it's back to the book. Okay, so now took that nut off. That nut's gone off of there, and I'm just going to lift this arm off. You can see that back arm comes loose with it, the one that the first step there, that's with it. And then on the bottom here, we got to figure out how to, I think this is just going to wobble out up here. Yeah, seems like it's just going to come off in a second. So it appears that I'm going to have to take this bottom nut off too, which I didn't plan on, but you can see I'm starting to take this one off, and that's as far as it goes, and I feel like I'm going to break something if I force it. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take it apart. Can't get lazy with stuff like this. Okay, so there's the bottom. Do a close-up on it. I was able to, like, you know, just half take that bottom lug off. See, it's right there. I took the lug, take it back. Took the lug off, but I didn't pull all the linkage off of the lug. And I just, you can see, I just pulled everything off to the back, so I can continue taking my box apart. There's one of the bolts, one I already took out there. There's one back here somewhere. Okay, so it appears like I'm gonna have to take these two bolts off because they're holding part of the heater core to it. And I don't want that heater core to get busted up when I'm pulling it up. Actually, I don't care that much, but it'd be nice to see how it works. So to round it up, I've taken the bolts off of the bottom here. I took the bolts off the side here. All right, these bolts. And then around this side, I had to pull some of the linkage apart, as I've shown, and took the bolts off that go along that side of the box. Now the top, like I said, I think the top up here, there's no bolts. I think it's a hinge or some kind of slotted friction joint. So we're going to try to take this off now. Just realized I got to get this copper tube that comes out to the front through the firewall, comes off of the side of the heater core with 4 tiny little hex head bolts sitting right there. And I took them out and I just yanked this sucker out. Maybe not so easy, I have to pry it off. So just from a different angle here, this is the side. This is the side. Okay, so I just pulled that pod off, the arm off, that little hole. All it was a Carta key, so nothing to fear there. Now the trick is going to be this pod over here. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get to because it's got long arm, comes all the way up to the top here. I don't see an easy off without taking the linkage off here, so I'm going to have to figure that out now. I see where I can take the pod off, but it looks like maybe I can unscrew it there. We'll see. Taking it apart, and I realized that I'm going to have to flip the box over and take it apart with the firewall side up, because this seems to be wanting to swing away. This, you know, this was the bottom of the part that we just took all the bolts out of, and some of this stuff's going to have to come further apart, like this pod here. I have my finger out. No, this one. I have to take this arm off. Anything attached on the side here still is going to have to come off, so I can basically just, you know, pull this piece off for vacuum roading. So this is the pod that was at the bottom that I was last showing, trying to get off. It's got 2 vacuum hoses. Okay, so this one on the top, you can't really see too well. One that comes off at a 90 degree. It is a red lined hose. The one that comes, well, they both come off at a 90. The one that's on its own that comes off the non-suction side is a white line. Okay, so there's the white. Wow, that's quite the evaporator and heater core. You can see this one's full of, it's like white bacteria or schmegma, and it's rusty. So it's been that way. Looks like it's been that way for quite a while. It's definitely leaky. And yeah, there's the evaporator. Not bad, but I'll probably have to replace that too. Might as well. It's been a lot of work to pull this out, so I want to replace everything I can. So yeah, got the box cracked. There it is. So these are the instructions inside of it. It's 68 to 70 B body AC heater core restore, and it starts off with #1 matte faced fiber insulation. Pieces that line a evaporator section of hosing. I think that's where I'm at. Original material was yellow fiberglass with black facing. See picture. Okay, so yes, yellow and black. That's what I'm looking at here. So see picture. Let's see. Is that it? Evaporator hosing with fiberglass. Yeah, that's it. Looks like it. I think. So we will see. Okay, here we go. This is what I'm looking at in the picture. So it calls it a heater core hosing with styrofoam insulation. So I assume we're going to take this fiberglass out and put styrofoam in. So it has to be attached with adhesive. Reference for the flip side of the evaporator box. And I guess the cage for the blower motor. A lot of insulation that needs to come off. Pipe's got that. Some screws on top here. One there. A couple screws here. Screws loose all over the back. Nice. Reference video for the bottom of the box. It's I don't know, got a lot of things we already kind of unscrewed from taking off the heater core. I don't know if there's anything. Look like there's anything under there. Notice that each pipe coming off the bottom here, going to the, I think that's going through the firewall. This and this, they got some kind of gasket, and of course this up here has a plastic gasket or rubber gasket. Thinking once I tear this up, there might be some bolts under it. Maybe. Definitely. Each of these bolts have some kind of white gasket on it too. Yeah. See. Oh, good. Thank God I got that kit from Detroit Muscles. Have all these little gaskets. This would be a major headache without that. Alright, I'm going to hit this with the grinder. See if this, well, I'm going to hit the back with the grinder after I see if this core will fall out. Maybe there's a bolt I'm missing here somewhere. Bunch of little 1/4-inch hex head, like galv steel bolts. I think I might have got them. Might have got them already. Seems like this fan cage should pull out from the side too. There might be some bolts for that. I'm going to start taking these back. I still haven't got this out yet, but I'm having to do a little bit of wrenching on this to get this out, which it's starting to come out. I might need to use something to pry it out. The evaporator, that is. And just to clean up the clutter and something I eventually got to do, I'm going to take the pod off. I'm going to take the pod off. I'm going to take this pod off. I think that's pod. Yeah, gonna take, yep, some kind of switch is what that is. Switch. I gotta test all that shit. That's all coming off. And just for reference, here's the hoses. Okay, red line going in over here. And all red there. No, this is different. This is yellow. Or white coming out. And then red through the bottom of this one, or the top of this one. And then white through the bottom. Looks like a white red kind of thing going on here. And this is just this whole thing going up to the controller head. It's like a couple of feet of hose there. So I don't know what I got here. What do I got there? All right, looks like red coming in, and then just these are just like 2 hoses feeding from like this side to this side. So I'm not sure if that's. I'm gonna have to pull a vacuum diagram on this. That doesn't seem right. Useful piece of information I want to show you. So this on the back, what I'm looking at is, what would this be? The top of the box. This is the firewall side. You can see I haven't ground it or anything yet. Still pulling out the evaporator, and what I ran into here are there's these pegs, like looks like this, and they seem to be friction actuated pegs. In other words, they're just pressed on. You can see this is what it looks like after the peg's off, and here's the peg that I just got off with some, a little bit of like twisting it with a what would you call it, like a pair of plumber's pliers, you know, like just really kind of gently doing it without one of these things, you know, without messing it up and smashing it, because it's only copper and it's light steel. So that's what I got to do finishing off to get this off too, and it should fall right out. Houston, we have a problem. I just banged this until it came loose from the evaporator. So it's damaged goods now, and I'm hoping the new evaporator that I have on its way has this on it. Otherwise, I'm going to be, you know, 1 can short of a 2-pack. Okay, here we are. It's out now. Just fell on the ground. It's the inside. I got a lot of clean up and finish work to do here, so I'm not going to film that. That's not what this is about. But going to be a lot of wire brushing and painting and galvanizing and good shit like that. Hopefully that's the peg. You can see this side's still intact. Unless that unscrews from the bottom of the core, I'll be okay. If it does, then we got problems. I have to fix it. Nothing, a little bit of solder won't fix, hopefully. Quick picture of the number on the side of this box. Looks like an 85, no, sorry, correction, 3547. So I don't know if that's significant, but before I wipe it out with my favorite tool, which is the 4-inch grinder. Okay, so right now I'm working on the finished, as in it's painted, heater side of the box. So the heater core sits in here, will sit in here soon, and you can see these holes here. Each one has a circular. This one here, this one over here has a circular port that goes out to a will feed out into the car's HVAC. So there's screws that come in from the opposite side that attach that to a rod. The rod goes all the way across the front of the box and comes out over here. And then there's 2 more rods, so there's 3 altogether that run through this box. One that attaches to this here, another door that kind of flaps this way, and then on the front, this door flaps out. This is the front door that you see when you first look under the dashboard at the heater box. You can see that, and that door, you can see it's like kicked out as like a kickstand right now, but it's also on a rod, and it also attaches with very small hex head screws. Same ones that worked for just about everything else in the box. Let's see, there's one right there. Very shallow screw. It's less than half, probably like a 1/4-inch screw, and maybe number 8 in size. So next thing I'm going to do is behind it, you can see this comes with the kit from Detroit Muscle, and it's all cutouts to. I got to paste this to the box's inside. It's insulation, so I'll be doing that next. And just want to show you, these gaskets are really nice that came with the Detroit Muscle kit. I got to get some glue to put this down, obviously, but they're cut really precisionally, and it's pretty easy to see what's going on when you look at them to put things together. So I just finished putting the white insulation you see here, just styrofoam basically. It's all cut nice and perfectly for this box. It's all snugged up there. You just got to use a little bit of trim adhesive. I've got Gorilla Glue here somewhere, which works really well. I'm in the assembly of the heater box still, and something that I kind of glazed over before. So the heater core is just sitting in here right now, but this lever, that's like an on-off heater control valve type situation, is controlled by another arm that goes from here, like on the door, right? And there's a hole down here in the door. I don't know if you can see it. There's a hole in there. Anyways, there's a bracket that actually attaches right here where my finger is, and then that gives a kind of one side to the arm, like it attaches to one side of the arm and attaches up to here to there. So that's important. And I'm refinishing that right now, but that'll be going back on soon. Getting ready to reassemble the climate control. Okay, so cleaned everything up. I still got to do relube on the switch and any contacts underneath here, but I got a brand new the vacuum actuated switch. This white thing is brand new, and you can see there's a an angle piece. This all comes apart, but the metal part there has the two lights connected to it, no orange wires for the lights, so that's the light feed for it. And I got to find some lights that fit that. I think they're number 56s, but I'll see what fits. And they got blue caps that go over them like that. I'm not going to put these over the lights for the climate control. They go, here and here, but they're really cracked up. They're looking hard. More on the climate control. Just put some grease here. This is lithium grease, white lithium. And all along the slider here for this thing so that it'll slide good. So you want that action to be nice going back and forth. So that grease is going to be there for, till the end of time kind of thing. And I screwed this switch in. It's nice and tight now. A couple of screws, long black screws that were in it, and go from the bottom there. So yeah, that's it. Got to put some lights in here and, throw it in the dashboard. It's got these funky buttons that go on it. These are the funkiest buttons, man. They sit kind of limp there, and then you crush the thing against the inside of the dashboard, and it all kind of goes together, and these things stick in here like this, So you push this and push this, and it goes. Bing, I'm on. Okay, so I just, a couple of tips here. You might want to flush out your heater core. Mine kind of had some, I think, like solder in there. I could hear it jingling. And if you ever bought, like a radiator, or had a radiator that's been worked on, sometimes it's inevitable. You're going to have some solder in there. But I took my time to flush out all the little bits that might have been in there. And here's one thing that might be useful. This arm goes on to the heater valve there. And I don't see any other way of installing this heater core into the shell, the box, without putting it on all connected like this, so that the only thing left to put on is this little piece of angle that bolts down to here. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so this is your bravery test. You can see I got it set up in the back here, and what you want to do is just kind of mock things up and make sure they're going to work, and work this lever a little bit before you attach it, and make sure it's on right, because it looks like it could go one of two different ways, forward or backwards. So yeah, just gotta get that little booger figured out. So I got a little bit of a problem here, and this is something you run into sometimes. We got to make a judgment call, and it's based off of experience. So this is this door is actuated by vacuum, but what I'm seeing is that when I flip it up and down, it takes a pretty good amount, and there's some resistance there. All right, and I can't, because this bracket is set onto the heater core, I can't really alter the heater core, because that's, that might void out the warranty, and I don't want to stretch any pipes or break anything on the pipework. So what I'm going to do, something I can affect, is these two bolts hold that bracket. And if I could take these two bolts out and take the holes that go in here and move them up just a tad. So I'll probably wallow out the holes so that this action, I think if we gave it just another 1/8 of an inch, we would have easy breezy action that could be controlled easily. You're not supposed to have that kind of click. It's supposed to be smooth. So I've got the heater core installed into the heater box, more or less. Just waiting for the assembly of the flip side, which is the evaporator. And there was some customization here. You can see a little black plastic patch I had to put over the hole because I had drilled it out quite a bit. To make this assembly fit, like a couple of tricks to this was, cut the pipe much longer, especially the pieces they give you in the kit. Just give yourself some real heater hose to work with there, because you need to manipulate it some. The holes on the end of this heater core don't match real solid, so I had to kind of stick some pins. I don't know if you can see my pin sticking. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so some scratch tools I put through there to hold it, but the fit isn't perfect. Like on this side, I'm probably going to end up, you can see how that came out, cutting that hole a little bit and grinding off some metal there, cutting off some metal there just a little if I have to. Might just leave it and just cut a hole. Anyway, so there's a little bit, I mean, I would call this like not custom, but modified. I had a little bit of modifications to make this heater core fit into this box perfectly. And you got to make sure that this is going to work here freely. And I still haven't tested the pods, the vacuum pods yet. But once I get them on, gotta make sure that works. Next major step is going to be, in this fine South Carolina day, good time for it, is fitting on the right hand side this brand new evaporator. Beautiful, right off of eBay. And the evaporator box, which I've refinished in beautiful flat black. So I have my gaskets lined up on the truck over here for my great, wonderful Detroit muscle cars. So I got to fit those gaskets in and get that all packed into that box. Okay, back to the instructions for the various gaskets here. So I gotta find where I am, somewhere here. Geez, it's all numbered nicely and I haven't followed the numbers, but you know, here's the box I'm looking at here, the AC box. I know it says B, but it works for the Type C car, or what do you call it? C body, which is what I'm working on today, 68 Polara. So you can see there's quite a bit of insulation here. What's it say? The top picture is the top of the top picture is of the top of the evaporator core and shows the placement of the matte-faced fiberglass insulation. This piece needs to be attached to the evaporator with adhesive. So back to the good old Gorilla Glue. Vanilla Gorilla. So I'll be doing that. The lower part of the picture shows the remaining matte-faced fiberglass insulation. Places pieced in their proper locations. Against all these pieces need to be attached adhesive. The right hand of the picture shows the main vent box. Okay, triangular shaped section of the matte-faced fiberglass insulation line the inside of the hosing. Okay, so again, just need to look at the picture. It says lastly, there's a thin charcoal foam seal that goes between the triangle shaped hosing and the round blower motor box. So I just gotta go through this picture and match up the gaskets with the box. To show all nice and neat in its own little package for all the gaskets just for the evaporator box that I'm getting ready to put in. So now I'm getting down to the last bit of my gasket set, which I have spread all over my deck lid here, but you can see some of them on the top there are definitely like for the cowl vents, which are apart from the evaporator and heater core. These are my blackouts. I don't think those are for anything, but got a few things. It's obvious that goes around the lines coming out of the evaporator. You know, those white pieces are for the lugs that stick out of the back of the box and go through the firewall. But last few pieces I gotta square up on here. This is the box side that hits the firewall with the insulation that I just put on. You can see I got a ring around the blower motor. It's part of the kit as well. And you flip this. Yeah, probably scratching it some. No biggie. And on the inside, got all the gaskets mounted inside, ready for the evaporator. So now I got to unbox that evaporator and get that thing in here. So I had a little bit of a problem finding a fan, what's this called? Resistor. It's fan resistor, blower motor fan resistor. And this is not the original, obviously. Okay, so I was just checking all the different vacuum pods, and for the most part things are working. This one, I'm not sure how this works, and it doesn't seem to be pulling anything. It seems to pull vacuum from the bottom or vent from the bottom. I'm not sure. I gotta figure that out. I got the number though, and I'm gonna go check that out. And then this one just painted it, cleaning things up. I don't need to show you that. So I just wanted to quickly show you this. This is the drip pan that goes on the bottom of the evaporator. So of course the evaporator goes in the box with the heater, and part of this job is putting the evaporator, new evaporator in. So when I went to take the drip pan off, there was some corrosion. This is made of galvanized steel. And the part of the video that, part of the work you're not going to see, which I skipped, is that I had to refinish this because it was rusted. The galvanization was coming off. It's sheet metal, just like the type of drip pan you would find underneath a home air conditioning heating unit. So it actually catches the water and diverts it into these two pipes. These two pipes are 2-inch stub outs of copper, which are soldered to, they're brazed to the bottom of the pan. You know, two similar metals, and they're brazed with silver. What do you call it? I forget. So I'm going to catch up a little bit. I feel like I've skipped a few things. And probably just fine, because they're kind of extra things. I had a problem. So this is the evaporator. I got this off of eBay. The first one I got was crushed, so I had to get a second one. But brand new evaporator here. The drip pan is the original now. So you can see that it's kind of like a regular home HVAC. You got a galvanized drip pan on the bottom, which I have cleaned up, brushed up, and I cold galvanized it. But I had an issue with it. Took a while, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this I'm putting it on its side right now. Coming out of the firewall, there's two drip pipes here. Okay, they come out of the bottom of the drip pan. Here and here. And they're just 2-inch pieces of copper that are soldered to the galvanized steel drip pan. So this one, they're secured, basically they have these on them, and they go down and they secure them, and I believe they give it something like, I believe this part, it's just regular plain steel, goes through the firewall, probably with the gasket over the top of it. But problem I had is when I went to take this apart, this pipe snapped off right at the drip pan with this coupler, whatever you want to call it, fastener, on it, and it was seized on it. And after, so, you know, the thing is this might make it a little bit more intermediate work, but I have metalworking experience, and I had to basically bust that free from the copper. And you might not think that's intense, but it took a little bit of work. I'm not going to show that in this video because that's aside from the point, but it's just one of those typical hiccups you have on a job like this. I had to stop. I had to get a piece of aluminum, brand new aluminum pipe there, solder it on, and then break the steel coupler free from the old aluminum pipe. So it took a little bit of banging and drilling and hammering and all that good shit that you do when you're a metal worker. So the pan is fastened on by, you got 2 bolts on this side. You can see there's one here, and then, oh, I'm sorry, there's 1 bolt on this side. And then on this side is the 2 bolts. Is that how it goes? Okay, so I'm not seeing it. But anyways, there's 2 bolts on one side. Oh, here we go. All right, I was right. There's one down here, and there's one up here. So there's 2 bolts, this bolt and that bolt on this side, and then on this flip side there's 1 bolt. You can't see it right now, but it's basically an L-shaped bracket on the bottom, angle-shaped bracket that goes through with the screw, just like the one that's laying next to it. And that's a coincidence. But okay, so next thing I'm going to do is get this ready for the box. I got to put a piece of insulation across the top. Came in the Detroit Muscle gasket set, and then get it ready to snap together with the box itself. So the evaporator's been installed into the evaporator box, which is the back side of the heater box, the firewall side of the heater box. And you can see that's where the fan goes in there. And this is the part that would go against the firewall right here. It's already got insulation on it. I just added this gasket to go around the pipes that go into the refrigerant system. And I had to, you know, a few bolts here and there. There's these 2 bolts up top that go into a piece of channel that's hooked to the 2 lines coming out, and then you got 1 bolt here on top, got one on the flip side, equal and opposite that one, and that's pretty much it. The bottom is without any bolts. That's what holds it in. Next on to putting the 2 boxes, the heater core side and the evaporator core side together. that's next. So here's the bottom of the heater core getting ready to go in, and yeah, so here's the bottom of the heater core. I'm getting ready to smash that against the evaporator, which I have over there. I just put the there's this rope caulk that comes in the gasket kit. That's what's left of it. But yeah, I put it all. It said in the notes to note where the caulk went before disassembly, which I did not do. But you can see here with the white, that one's already falling apart right there. I just lined the whole box with it. So I should be covered. So if you're doing this on your own, there's going to be some manhandling here. You're going to have to grab this thing and push it together. Right now I got the top together, and I'm trying to get the bottom to mate together. So right now I got to pull the lip, which is on the heater core side. Like this lip has to go over that, and then I put the screws through. Hopefully it doesn't give me too much resistance. If it does, again, gentle wins the race on this, because you don't want to force anything and break it. So I'm positioning the two sides of the boxes together right now, and you can see I got it on my workbench, and this top is the friction seam, so it's like basically a male-female thing. Looks like the evaporator side sticks up, and there's a slot on the heater core side. So I'm going to try to put that in there and kind of just ratchet it into place. And once I get it there, try to screw things together. So I gotta admit, there's been some clamping. There's definitely been some clamping going on here. Some of it took a little pulling together, but just try to be careful. The heater and the evaporator boxes are now joined together into one big heater box, what we're calling it. And it was just all sheet metal screws all the way around the perimeter. Took a little bit of pulling and pushing, but finally got it together. I think I didn't damage anything. I hope. We'll find out at the end. And the next big thing is I got to put all the vacuum accoutrement on the side. There's a couple of vacuum pods that go here, and they control all the arms and flaps in the box. So that's next. I used a 3/8 inch socket to fasten the pod nuts back on, and same thing goes for this other pod here. This was 2 3/8 inch butts. Probably need an extension on your ratchet for that. There's 2 1/4 inch bolts up here. I did have to put a, had to make a little gasket to go between the metal body and this vacuum pod here. The line, so you can see the linkage coming out of this pod hooks to here, and probably gonna have to put a key or something on the flip side to lock it into place. Maybe not a key. I think it's just a clamp. And now I got to proceed over here to the linkage. The largest piece of the linkage attaches from this pod, goes all the way from this piece of linkage all the way up to this corner up here. Okay, and I can kind of see it in gray. I've painted it with some cold galvanized. So this is the door. Okay, so that's the door, heater door, whatever it's called. And then these two smaller, I guess those goes, I think those go to defrost, but they go to a vent. So let's call it a vent door. So the vent door goes to this piece of linkage, and it's a very distinctive looking piece of linkage. This is the one that when I was taking apart, I think it was the first one I took apart. And there's a piece that's just kind of flopping here right now, right there. And that's going to attach to the second piece of linkage I have here. Okay, and that's like, I believe it's like so. Okay, so I'm going to have that together in a sec. Okay, so back where we were, original piece up top here that I took apart. I'm going to call it the first thing I took apart, the linkage. So this was the arm that attaches in the middle, which I just did. And this bottom part of it, this piece, I have my thumb on, is the bottom part of the linkage that I just showed you in the last video. And attach the vacuum pod. So this vacuum pod here, the one that's basically just sitting right up next to the heater output pipes, has a small piece of linkage coming off the bottom, like a little arm, and that is where my thumb is right now. That's that arm, okay, and that attached to that second piece of linkage. So with the kit that did come from Detroit Muscle Cars, Detroit Muscle, they gave you these two gaskets I didn't use because I already had a couple that came with the heater core, and that's what they were. They were for where this heater core line goes into the side, for the two pipes going to the side of the heater core. And then this little circular clip-on I didn't use because I left that big long piece of linkage together that required that. I'm trying to remember where that, I think it was yeah, it's supposed to go on the back where my finger is pointing, on the back of that. And then the piece I'm looking for is this Carter key. I'm going to take that Carter key and I'm going to put it right through center picture, right to that hole, okay, and lock that together. Loosely put that Carter key back in the linkage because I just, you know, it's my first time doing this. I want to make sure that, where the hell is it? Where's my finger? Right down there. It's down on the back of this, back of the arm that came out of this pod. So that key, just sitting in there right now, just sitting in there, and I'll fix that once everything's mocked up and together. So there's a couple of bolts I got to put in here. You can see this is one of them right here. There's one here, and there's one up here. So for each one of these doors that have a rod and linkage attached to it, there's a nut, and there's another one. Bingo, right there. So I'm going to get those nuts on, and then I'm going to try to figure out how to adjust this. Okay, you can see I've started my nuts. There's one there, one down at the bottom. Okay, just a couple threads on. So what I'm going to do on these is I'm going to tighten them up, but not tight. I'm going to tighten them so that the arms can still move to some degree. There's some that are eccentric, like this top arm, it has a square hole that's eccentric with the arm. This one is a circular arm with a circular hole, so this obviously could go, you know, up, down, all around. So I got to figure that out. And this one doesn't seem to. That's a question mark. I got to look at this one a little bit closer and see if it's something I got to leave loose. It is round and everything's round there, so probably yeah. Got to take a quick look at that. Ah, the springs. I forgot. So somewhere on the side of this, there's a spring that goes to this linkage right here, and I'm gonna go back and figure that out real quick. Okay, so we have one small piece of, let me put it here, you can see it, linkage. It's a stop. Okay, so this, you zoom out first. So there's your heater outlines, is the silver vacuum pod. Okay, so let's come in nice and slow. And it's the only stud here that I haven't put a bolt on. It goes right on top of that, but it's situated like this. Okay, when you put it on, it goes towards the you know, it's an L shape, and the arm goes towards the box. It's some kind of stopper. So that's going to go on there. All right, that's going to go on there, and then we're going to put the nut on there. I've got the this top arms together. So before I screwed it down, and I'm using this for the linkage in general, I've got a little bit of gun oil, just yeah, putting a little bit on there to keep it lubed up. You know, you need a little bit of lubrication sometimes. So we're gonna go down. I'm gonna flip this box over and we're gonna start working on that, because, you know, springs, there is a spring. There was no mention of a spring in this, by the way, because I think when I flipped them off I wasn't paying attention. But there's this tiny spring, and I believe that's for the door. I think the return on the door, I gotta put that on. But then there's also a larger spring that yeah, fits down here, so I gotta figure that out. Okay, so now I've flipped it over, so I guess bottom side up, and here's what I'm dealing with here. I see that we've got this and this hasn't been fastened yet, by the way, all the way, so I still got to torque that. But first I want to deal with this arm here. I believe has something to do with this arm. I think the two of them link together with this spring. Before the box slides back in, I've got to put these things back onto the overflow, what do you call it? These drains. I got two of them, and each one has one of these that go on it. Metal onto copper, and I'm going to put some antifreeze on there. Anti-seize, rather. Going to put some anti-seize on it because they were both very hard to get off. Both of these went on quite easy, these little metal hats, and tapped them on with a hammer. They have there's a stop inside each one that stops them. They only go so far. So next thing I'm going to do is put the white gaskets on the back here and look this thing over. Make sure everything is fit so I can fit against a firewall properly. So the linkage in the vacuum pods are all installed back on. So you got 3 pods, and I've labeled them for what they are. So that's the outside ear pod. That's the thing that flips this door in and out. And then you've got this pod, which I believe is the heater pod. This is for the defrost, rather. I'm sorry. So that controls these 2 doors here. And then you got this AC pod, which opens up the big, move my vacuum pump there. Opens this door right here. So what you want to do is go through these, and I'll make sure that they demonstrate the proper motion. I'm going to put a video at the bottom, link to a very old 1970, vintage 1970 video that describes what all these pods do. And give you some close-ups here. What the linkage looks like. So you got a very small spring there, this spring here, and this arm's weird in that it kind of, there's nothing to hold it. There's nothing there on the rod that holds it. Like this gap does not have any washer or spacer, so it's kind of an odd point when you're putting these things together. Let's see what that looks like there. Of course, this one up top. Give you something to look at. You're having a hard time putting your linkage back together, and then the top one, the defrost valves. So I'm going to test these a few more times and check them over and just make sure everything's set up. Like I think I have still need a pin on this guy down here. Oh, where is he at? Yeah, see that hole needs a pin right there. That's going to be a Carta key. So I'm going to check everything again with I've just got this brake bleeder. It's for bleeding brakes, but it pulls vacuum. So I'm going to use that to check all these pods once more, these vacuum pods, to make sure that they pull in and pull out. Okay, you got a bottom and a top you got to test. So just a little bit of advice on the side. There's not a lot of adjustment here, but there's this screw that you can adjust. You can loosen a little slack there. And then up top here, this rod, that's for the defrost axle, let's call it, is just simply screwed at the end. There is no eccentric piece that keeps it to fix it. It's not fixed. So if you unscrew that and you turn that, you can adjust it easily. So if you have a problem with the defrost opening with the AC, that's where you adjust it. Now generally that's the AC door that's open. These should be shut with the AC door open. So then when this closes, these should open a little bit. But then if you actually pull on, I think it's this pod, as the defrost pod, I hope I labeled that right. Yeah, defrost on that. This is for the defrost action. And then actually you'd put vacuum on the rod side to pull it, and then it would actually pull open the defrost doors, which are these 2 round ones, and the AC door should shut. Before I get too far along, I don't want to get this. 2 things. This switch is I forget what this is called now, but it's a pod that activates the AC compressor. So it gives power to the AC compressor here. Part of me wants to bypass this. What this does is it keeps the AC compressor from coming on if the temperature is below 20. And that doesn't happen here a lot. I'm just a little worried that this switch isn't working. I took it apart and cleaned it, but as you can see, I took the lines off, which I replaced this, and this line is supposed to be a special line, some kind of device inside that limits the airflow. And then this line, I just have another one to put on. So what I might do is plug this off right there, so that we're not like venting vacuum or anything. And I think they're supposed to be it's just a line in. So what I might do is plug that off, and then where the power goes through here, I'm guessing, for the compressor, or I don't know if it's a ground switch or a power switch, whichever, I will link them together, just join them together so that there's no so that AC will always be on when the heater's on, so that you can defrost a window and whatnot. But just concerned about that extra something that might break and isn't all that useful for me in this warm climate of South Carolina. So the other thing is I'm going to go through these hoses. At the end here, there's some hoses that are really crimped. And what I might do is just take sections of hoses and put a splice on either side, because I want to try to keep this line if I can. It's color coded in some places, at least it's not on this end, which is good. Looks like the next connector is here. I might have a look at that and see how I can, if I can go from the, if I could like maybe go from this connector up to where the bulkhead, this is the part that connects into your controller switch in the dash. And like I said, hoses are not looking good there. They look very shut down. And I got a couple others here. Look, this is the main line that goes out through the firewall and powers the whole system, or doesn't power it, but it provides vacuum. Extremely dry rot, and I'm probably gonna have to splice into this somewhere. So this decoupled from the main line pretty easily, thankfully, and I just blew the lines out, and I'm gonna do the splices right here. Number one appears to be successful. You can see I joined it right here, and I joined it pretty close to the head where it plugs in, right there. And that's because this is what it looked like. Okay, so there's probably not much vacuum getting through there. 3 places had to be fixed, 3 separate lines rather. And how many are there? 6, 7? Yeah, I see 7 lines. So out of 7, 3 of them I had to replace centers of them, and a couple of them. Don't worry about rooting that when I'm done. I deadheaded that vacuum hose, and like I said, when I find the other part of this, I'll the electrical connector, I'll link that together. I'm probably just going to leave that alone. So this is it's upside down right now. So this is what you'll see when you're looking up from your floorboard, your typical view of this. Your heat's going to come out the vents here. Right. So real quick, there's these white washers that go on each of the studs. Before we put this thing up and press it against the firewall, we need to make sure those are there. Those are heater core bolts. The only thing to know about this is that beware of your 2 drains that are towards the back of the motor. Can't see them from here, but they're a little tough. You got to angle those through, and some of that stuff gets bent up here and there. Problem I'm going to have is my one pipe shorter than the other. I should have saw that before I put it in, coming out of that heater core, so I'm going to have to be real careful with that. Otherwise, everything's pretty simple from here. Everything's plug and chug.